For everyone, the scenes of terrible destruction in Japan are painful to see. For people in California, they are a sobering reminder of what could lie ahead, a warning to be prepared. Gavin Newsom is California's lieutenant governor.
Look, if you're going to move out to California and the West Coast, if you're going to live not just in one earthquake zone, but three zones, you've got to take that seriously.
California, like Japan, sits on the Pacific's Ring of Fire, stretching 25,000 miles around the Pacific Rim. It is the most geologically active region on Earth. More earthquakes occur here than anywhere else on the planet. From the magnitude 6.3 that shattered much of Christchurch, New Zealand just last month, to the massive 8.8 quake that destroyed 370,000 homes in Chile in February last year, movement on the Ring of Fire gets the blame. The Pacific Plate beneath the ocean is shifting constantly.
This has been a busy year by any standard just because...
Tom Heaton, professor of geophysics at Caltech, says where a quake hits can be at least as significant as how big it is.
Happy Easter, Bumba Gigi!
The closest California has come to a notable quake recently is the 7.2 that rocked Mexico's Baja Peninsula last April.
If you took that same earthquake and moved it, say, into our urban areas, we'd still be talking about earthquakes in California. It would have been a very damaging event, but it was in the middle of the desert.
Basically, the San Andreas Fault is locked and loaded and ready to rumble.
Thomas Jordan is director of the Southern California Earthquake Center.
As a seismologist, of course, the longer we go without a big earthquake, the more nervous I get.
Hold on, kids, hold on.
Because I know that over time, we have to have earthquakes to relieve all of that energy that's being built up along the plate boundary.
New calculations on the San Andreas near Los Angeles show major quakes happened there more frequently than previously believed, and the next one could be as big as magnitude 8.
So the fact we haven't had an earthquake in this region for so long means that our time is getting due.
The most recent big quake in Los Angeles was the 1994 Northridge quake. 57 people died.
We're having an aftershock right now, people.
It was the largest natural disaster before Katrina that the country had ever seen. $40 billion in direct economic damage.
The Northridge quake was a magnitude 6.7. In the kind of math that only seismologists fully understand, the magnitude 8.9 quake that hit Japan was 3,000 times more powerful. In Japan, the ground shook for minutes. To appreciate what that could mean in California, consider the damage caused in just 15 seconds of shaking in the San Francisco Bay Area in 1989.
15 seconds, and you can see what happened.
At an Oakland, California park built as a memorial to the '89 quake, David Schwartz of the U.S. Geological Survey remembers that for all the destruction, the epicenter of that quake was far away.
1989 was 70 miles south of the Bay Area proper, and we think our next big earthquake will occur right in the middle of the urban center. If you look out that way, there are hills. Those are the East Bay Hills, and the Hayward Fault runs at the base of the hills.
The Hayward Fault is overdue. Add the San Andreas and a startling number of lesser-known faults, and the San Francisco region is ripe for quakes.
We're surrounded by faults anywhere you go in the Bay Area, and we jokingly like to say you can run but you can't hide. And that's sort of the truth.
The San Andreas Fault brought on the Great San Francisco Earthquake of 1906. It's been estimated that 3,000 people died. That's the kind of quake, much bigger, much more destructive than the one in 1989, that seismologists figure could be on its way.
So we've estimated in the next 30 years a 63% chance, 2 out of 3, that we'll have one or more magnitude 6, 7 or larger earthquakes.
While earthquake scientists can make estimates, what they can't do is make predictions.
At one point, people were quite optimistic that we'd come up with some systems to predict the earthquakes, and the more we've studied the problem, the more we realize that it's kind of a false hope.
But once the Earth has started moving, scientists may be able to send an alert that shock waves are on the way.
We call it earthquake early warning. It's based on the fact that earthquakes take a certain time to occur. They propagate along a fault. Here in California, we could get up to 1 minute of warning of a major earthquake on the San Andreas Fault before it was to shake downtown Los Angeles.
Japan already has such an early warning system. About a minute before Tokyo started shaking on Friday, residents got alerts on radio and TV, by email and text message, that shock waves were coming. It's not much, but it may have provided just enough time for many to take cover.
This is an earthquake drill.
Once a year, Californians are urged to participate in a statewide earthquake drill called the Great Shakeout.
Marcus, 2 more.
It's a reminder to be prepared, because the forces of nature can be unleashed at any time. The images from Japan give a humbling look at just how formidable those forces can be.